Look, we're adding a seventh step to our sentence analysis. 7's a lucky number. So it's the seventh and final step. Some of the steps are going to change a little bit as we move, but there's only going to be 7, and it's always going to be about analyzing a sentence. And the steps are in order. We've just added a seventh step down here at the bottom. It's called diagram the sentence. I'll show you what that looks like. It's just the next logical step in the Christensen rhetoric program. We've seen this sentence before. It reads, "Feeling the cold mud under his toes, he stood at the edge of the doorway, surveying the destruction before him." I've already set up my tools, so I don't know if you can see this, but it could be true that he stood at the edge of the doorway. And I see, a simple subject and verb here. It could be true that he stood. The rest of what's in the base clause is extra information, but it's between marks of punctuation, so I can see where the free modifiers are relative to the base clause. That's all base clause that's underlined. Looks like this gets circled as well, and then there's a period at the end. In terms of free modifiers, you might ask yourself, well, who is it that's feeling the cold mud under his toes? He is. Who is it that's surveying the destruction before him? He is. So that makes it really obvious, like, where are you going to draw these arrows? These arrows are going to get drawn to the subject. It's a really common theme that free modifiers go back and modify the subject. Not always, but a lot of times. So that's what these ones do. And I'm just going to change colors for the leveling. Have I got it all? Have I got it all? Yeah, it looks that way. We just need step 6, which is leveling. The base clause is always a level 1. So he stood at the edge of the doorway is a level 1. We've already determined that feeling the cold mud under his toes, between mark of punctuation and mark of punctuation, this free modifier modifies he, which is part of the level 1. That makes it a level 2. 2's modify 1s. 3's modify 2's. And this one is also a 2. We've got a free modifier in the initial position. It comes before the base clause. We've got a free modifier in the final position. It comes after the base clause. Looks like the pattern for this sentence is a 2, 1, 2. It's got a unique pattern. And that brings us to step 7, which is to diagram the sentence. And this is where the text box is going to come into play here. I'm just going to move it to below the line and do some typing here for a second so I can see if I can click on this box again. There we go. I just want to make this box wider. That's all. It's the first time I'm doing this, but I'll learn. This diagram is it's a 2, 1, 2. So I'm going to set that up this way. And we've talked about the staircase of specificity, where we go up the stairs. I'll show you. I'm going to draw another text box here. In the staircase of specificity, we said, look, by the way, a tab is 8 spaces. That's 1 tab. That's 2 tabs. That's 16 total spaces. So, that's where a level 3 would be. That's 8 spaces. That's where a level 2 would be. And then there's no tabbing for a level 1. And essentially what we have going on here is we've got the staircase of specificity. And what's happening is that as we move up the staircase, we become more specific. Like so, a 2 modifies a 1, a 3 modifies a 2. So keep that in mind. You're going to see that come to light here in this box. So if step 7 is to diagram the sentence, it comes along with these numbers. So we already said that this is a 2, 1, 2. this is what it's going to look like. So we start with, and you may not be a great typer. This will probably move faster for me because I'm a decent typer. Feeling the cold mud under his toes, which is a level 2. It comes with a comma. Level 1 is, and you'll notice that there's no capital here, even though it's the base clause. The sentence begins with a free modifier. The capital F comes in that initial position free modifier, feeling the cold mud under his toes. He stood at the edge of the doorway. Comma. See that comma that's circled up there? And then last but not least, he is surveying the destruction before him. And that ends with a period. I've got a capital letter, bingo. And I got 1, 2, I got 2 commas and a period. And I got 1, 2 commas and a period. Looks like this sentence is in great shape. That's how you diagram it. And you can see that the 2's are indented. If there were a level 3 in this, there is not a level 3 in this, but if there were a level 3 in this, you can see that there's 8. There's another 8. I know it's a pain, but that's 8 spaces. That's where a level 3 would be in terms of a diagram. But we don't need that in this case. So that's steps 1 through 7 right there. Here's another one, same thing. This one reads like this. It says, across his nose from right to left, he saw the blur of a bat swoop in to make a lightning bug its meal. And I can't believe you got to set up the tools again. That's a pain. It could be true that there's just a simple base clause here. It's a little more complicated, I guess. It could be true that he saw the blur of a bat swoop in to make a lightning bug its meal. It's kind of freaky. Bats freak me out. It could be true that he saw the blur of a bat swoop in to make a lightning bug its meal. Yeah, there we go. That's the base clause right there. That means as far as marks of punctuation go, we've got the capital letter, we've got this comma right here, we've got this comma right here, and we've got the period at the end. This one's tricky in terms of, what does it modify? We've got across his nose, which obviously is not a base clause. It doesn't pass the it could be true that test. Nor does this. It could be true that from left to right. That doesn't pass the it could be true that test. But in terms of, what do these free modifiers modify? This modifies the blur, which is a bat. It's the blur of the bat that goes across his nose. So it modifies something in the base clause. It looks like it's going to be a level 2, but in terms of from right to left, this is where some sentences are up for interpretation. There's a couple things that you could think are happening right here. This could modify the blur of the bat, but I think it modifies the way in which the thing goes across his nose. If that's the case, then you can see, well, this looks like this is going to be base clause. It's a level 1. Across his nose modifies the blur. From right to left modifies across his nose. So if this is a 2, and this free modifier modifies a level 2, then this free modifier here is a level 3. And then that would mean that the unique pattern for this sentence is a 2, 3, 1. So when you get into this place where you are going to diagram it in step 7, you can see that it's a 2, 3, 1. And the capital letters here in this initial position, level 2, across his nose, comma. It's up there in the original sentence, the comma. From right to left, comma. And then the base clause. He saw the blur of a bat swoop in to make a lightning bug. It's meal. Period. See the period right there. So again, the staircase of specificity will tell you about the indentation of each of these levels. A 1 is farthest from the left. A 2 is 8 spaces in from the left. And then a 3 is 8 more spaces from that 2. So this is a unique pattern, 2, 3, 1. But in terms of when you diagram it, you have to remember that you've got to make the proper indentations as well. How many commas? We got 1 comma, 2 comma, and a period. 1 comma, 2 comma, period, and of course the capital A at the beginning of a sentence. That's step 7. That's how you diagram. Try the next one on your own.